Hello, Albuquerque.
In those days, it was 41, so there was a lot of racism.
I'm a Boeing 737 first officer.
I did a lot of research and I recommend everyone do the same.
And now suddenly you're addicted, literally to heroin.
Where were you born? I was born in Cambridge, England.
Both my parents were drug addicts.
Welcome everybody to another episode. I'm your host, James Graves Brown. Today I have two special guests. Well, one is a co-host, my lovely wife, Sarah. Sarah, welcome.
Yay, look at me.
And our special guest today, Danielle. Danielle, you have quite an interesting story. You are an incredible person. Let me just start off by saying these are extraordinary qualities. That's why I wanted to have you on here. You're a very good employee. You have an amazing work ethic, which is something that's rare today, I think. People don't have that anymore. So is that something that was instilled in you, or were you always like that?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just always trying to get the job done and go from there.
Good. Yeah, people need to learn from that because, as you guys know very well, people don't have that quality anymore, and finding good employees is...
You weren't
They don't.
taught that? I mean, I don't know. Based off of your background, I figured that you wouldn't have been taught work ethic, essentially.
Not necessarily I taught it. I feel like maybe the way I grew up, not having things and having to work hard for it. So I have 4 kids, have to work for them. So
Well, and in our generation, I feel like that's a little more common. Like, okay, so maybe the generation before us, our parents was like, work until you can't work no more, and that's all life's about. But I feel like and I know I'm older than you guys, but our generation has sort of found a balance to where you have a life outside of work, but also work is very important. And if you don't do it right, you're not going to succeed. But we are not here today to talk about work and all that, although that makes you extraordinary in my eyes. You have 4 kids, and you're a single mom.
I do.
And she has 10 baby daddies.
Don't know who they are.
Now, let's go back to when you first started having kids. Is this something that you planned? Did you plan 4 kids?
No, I was only 15. Sure hope I wasn't planning kids at 15.
Okay, well, it happens.
It does.
But you've manned up and taken care of it like an adult, even though you weren't an adult, and that's amazing.
Yes, I had to.
Were none of them planned? Or are they all just...
Surprise!
Okay.
Yeah.
How far apart are they? in
They're
ages?
all 2 years apart. My oldest is 17, and then my second, he just turned 15. And then my daughter is 13, and then they're 4 years apart, and my youngest is 8.
Jeez, that's quite the span.
Yeah.
Does that create difficulties in itself?
I feel like it has pros and cons. I feel like the little one, he gets bullied a lot by his older siblings, but
That'll change,
Yeah.
immaturities and all. I had 3 brothers growing up and didn't care to talk to my younger brothers for a time, and then for a while I was picking on them, and the feelings were mutual. They picked on me as their older brother, and so over time it gets better. And then as you transition to adulthood, I feel like that completely goes away, and it's like a really deep bond. So
yeah, I agree.
you have that to look forward to, so that's good.
I mean, being the youngest, I was always spoiled. And I would say that in both of your cases, your younger brother, definitely the baby and spoiled.
Oh yeah, by all means.
And mainly because his birthday is my birthday, that's makes sense.
I think the kids would agree. I think the older 3 think he's more so spoiled and gets whatever he wants, but
I lived that. I know that's facts.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think he was my last one, and
That's no excuse. They should all be spoiled.
I think he's still innocent compared to the older ones.
Fair enough.
definitely.
So at one point you lived in another country
I did.
and you were immersed in their culture, yet you came back with no speech skills. How did that happen?
Honestly, I don't know. I should have definitely picked up the language. I was there for almost 3 years.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How did you end up there?
So my kids' dad, my husband, if you will, got deported, and I didn't want him coming back illegally.
Fair enough. That's
So
good.
we decided to just move down there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And 3 years, was there a plan to stay there, or was that 3 years just a random number?
We were going to try to get his papers and do it legally, and didn't end up working out like that.
Okay. Well, that's, is what it is. But,
Yeah.
had you not moved back, we wouldn't have met you, so.
You wouldn't be where you are today.
That's right.
I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, totally. How was Mexico? How was life down there? Do any of your kids remember that time?
I feel like if there's anyone, it would be my oldest one. I feel like he has more memories of it. I feel like the other two kind of like here and there. Mom, do you remember this? Or I remember when my dad used to do this, or the food.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Did they go to school and everything down there?
So my older two cross the border every day to go to school.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Where at?
So they went across from Palomas to Columbus every day.
Dang, that's crazy.
Oh, is that a long trip, or was it not?
No, the schools, I like 15 minutes from the border, so it wasn't too crazy. And the bus came to pick them up every day.
The school bus.
Across the border, and then they would
That's-
cross the border?
Yeah,
That
you'd be
seems-
surprised at how many kids cross the border every day.
That seems like a logistic nightmare. Like, how do you regulate a school bus full of children? Like, do they have?
Without their parents.
Yeah, and like, how would they cross the border? Isn't it like a big deal to cross the border? Especially coming in. Going out, I don't think so, but coming in?
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like it's not that like crazy. I feel like it's everyday life, especially for the families that have, they have an illegal parent or they can't come across or,
Was it a lot of that in their school?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it was a dual language school too, so their primary language was Spanish versus English.
Wow. So do your kids know Spanish?
I wish. I feel like they did. They were definitely picking up on it. They understood it. They were trying to speak it, didn't really pick it up. I feel like if maybe we were there a little bit longer,
Sure.
definitely.
Sure, I can see that. How did you meet your husband?
So I've known him since I was.
Hold on. Daisy!
So let me
That was so funny. She really wanted Danielle's attention.
look at me.
Yeah. Hold on. Honey was crying now.
You bunch of crybabies.
There we go. Okay. So, how did you meet your husband?
I believe I was 13.
Holy cow.
My cousin actually went to school with him.
Here in New Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Farmington.
Oh, jeez.
Or Kirtland, actually.
Is he older than you?
No, I'm actually 6 months older.
Fair
Oh,
enough.
my goodness.
So
6 months.
was it a school thing you interacted with him, or through your cousin?
It was more so through my cousin, and didn't go to school with him, so didn't really know him that way.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
So then it was outside of school, and then,
Yeah,
you
we
were teenagers.
had teen house parties.
And then that's how your oldest was born.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a year and a half later, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
it
yeah.
could have been an immediate thing. You
Yeah.
could have had it when you were a year younger.
No. I think I
So-
was 15 when I got pregnant with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad. My mom had me when she was 17, so that's pretty common, I guess.
Yeah, I think my mom had my brother at 17, too? 16, 17?
Well, generationally, that goes back in my family. My grandma had my mom at 17, and my great grandma had my grandma at 17.
Yeah, my mom had my oldest sister at 17.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, so you were in the right area. Don't feel bad about that.
Right.
So how long after that did you guys make it to Mexico? How did that transition happen?
So that was years down the road.
Oh, okay.
We had my oldest, and then my second, maybe like 10 years down the road, we ended up moving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so let me just say that's pretty admirable that you guys stuck it out, stayed together, because that doesn't happen either. So
It does not.
there's
Especially at that age.
yeah, beyond you having a good work ethic, you also have a good personal ethic as well. That's pretty impressive.
Ride or die.
Good for you.
Oh, thug life. Okay.
So let's get into some vulnerable talk, if you don't mind. Where is your husband now?
So he went missing in Mexico in 2019, March. So
First off, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's fucking terrible.
yeah.
From personally, it doesn't sound to me like this is something he would have chosen. He seemed like a pretty good guy. You guys stuck it out forever. So
Well, that's not.
I mean, yeah, I don't know the guy, but also,
Well, they didn't stick it out the whole
Yeah.
since 2019.
oh, there was ons and offs.
There was.
Oh, tell me about
Lots of them
that.
through the relationship. So I think in 2017 we ended up separating.
Oh,
Yeah, because he, I don't know, met someone else. So
no kidding.
decided to move on.
So you guys weren't together when he went missing?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're at a split. Now, how was that emotionally for you and for the kids? Like, was that difficult for everybody? Was that amicable? How did that work?
Is that when you moved back to the
Traumatizing.
States?
Yes. So I think we split up a little bit before I ended up moving back. I stayed down there for like 6 months, 5 months maybe, before I physically came back to the U.S.
You stayed down there on your own?
I did.
Wow. Jesus, what were you doing at that time?
So I didn't really go out too much down there, just to the little corner stores. But my kids were in school still, and I didn't want to have to transfer them. So we just waited, I believe, till January.
Were you working at that time?
Yes, I did cross the border every day to go to work.
No kidding, you too.
Yeah.
And was it more difficult for you than it was for the kids?
I feel like it was more tiring for me.
Well, I mean,
45-minute drive every day.
for logistically, like, did you have to show your passport and everything every day and
Yes.
get to know those guys by name?
Yeah, I feel like they knew me.
They're like, oh, there's
you go.
Danielle. Here she comes.
They're like, your passport you look so mean all the time. I'm like, sorry.
Oh, so it's always been a thing with you. It's
my
that
face.
look.
And you're like the nicest person ever.
And I'm like, you just come say hi and be nice to you.
Well, it's scary to go and say hi when you're looking like.
Keeps the bad people away, I guess.
That's good. Okay, so you're back in the States. This is 6 months after your separation, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you have family here? Is that how you ended up here?
My oldest sister lived here, and I didn't want to go back to where I grew up, so
Where'd you grow up?
in Farmington.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
said that. Okay, Farmington.
Yeah.
Why not?
I think just too many bad memories there.
Hey, fair enough.
My parents, that's where I grew up, so we're just around it's a very small town full, I feel like, I don't want to say drug addicts, but there's just a lot down there.
You're not wrong. Like, that's not a stretch at all, because
Yeah.
that's sort of a taking over New Mexico thing. I feel like it's weird because the closer to the border you get to the south, the cleaner it seems to be.
Yeah.
But northern New Mexico is just flooded, and like it's spread into Santa Fe, and like that, I can't say that that's part of the reason we moved down here from Santa Fe, but Santa Fe has its flaws as well, and that's another thing. I would never go back.
Yeah, I think it's like small towns.
Yeah,
There's nothing to do.
yeah, no, and
Yeah.
that's part of the problem.
But-
I've discussed this in other podcasts, and it's just
But
Santa
doing
Fe's
drugs and making babies.
drugs and alcohol is the main thing. There's no programs to help with that, especially for the lower class people. Like, and there's a significant number of them, but it doesn't seem like the city gives a shit about that. They care about
I would agree.
tourism and bringing in rich people, which I don't know. I think if you don't have a working class, that's not a good business models. But
Yeah.
so
Okay, well, I grew up here, and I can't. I mean, I don't know I don't know it. Like, I only know people who've died from natural causes.
how was it in Farmington? Did you have that same kind of thing that I had in Santa Fe, where you so many of your friends fall to drugs and alcohol or violent crime or things like that?
Well, both my parents were drug addicts.
No kidding.
Yeah, since as far as I can remember.
No kidding.
Yeah,
So they always struggled with addiction. Is that still an ongoing thing?
it is not.
Wow, good.
Yeah.
Good for them.
They've been sober well over 7 years, I believe, both of them.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Did they stop at the same time?
I think it was around kind of the same time, but different.
What made them give it a go?
Just long, hard life, I think.
Wow.
They kind of got tired of it and was.
I think so, and I know for sure for my dad, his dad ended up dying, so I think that just made him kind of want to turn his life around and just do better. I mean,
Wait, was his dad a struggle with addiction too?
he did not that I know of anyway.
Oh, so he just died natural causes or
Yeah,
whatever.
he had cancer.
Oh, and then your dad just was heartbroken, essentially, and
Yeah, I think my dad just kind of lost it when he lost him, and my grandma, I think, ended up dying a couple years after that.
Okay, so your parents got sober. Now, was this in Farmington too? I assume that's where they lived?
Yes, my dad for sure. My mom, I think she was actually in Nevada.
Nevada. Okay, I mean, they did not live together?
No, my parents have been separated
Oh, okay.
for a very long time.
Okay. So then they both moved down here together?
So when I was in Mexico, my dad has always been very close to me. So everywhere I went, he went. And then
cool.
I think just going through a heartbreak, I wanted my mom around. So my mom came and helped move me from Mexico back to Albuquerque. So they kind of just both.
Dang, you like regulate the entire family? Not only do you run your household and 4 kids, but you're regulating your parents as well?
Got to keep someone straight.
Dang. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I like having my family around, so good support system.
That's fair. How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 sisters.
3 sisters. Dang.
sisters, yeah.
Your parents had 4 also.
So my mom had 2 kids before me and my little sister. But
Oh, okay.
nothing like
Now, did you guys all grow up together?
we did.
So it's
Yeah,
like
so
you're
we're sisters.
yeah, that's fair. And how many of them live here?
2 of them. My oldest and my youngest sister.
And the other one?
She still lives in Farmington.
And did the struggles with drugs and alcohol pass to any of you guys?
I would say yes. I feel like my oldest sister kind of struggled with it a little bit. My 2 older sisters. And yeah, maybe possibly me and my little sister.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I can say that my dad. Okay, so my dad is not my biological father. My dad's my dad because he raised me.
Yeah.
So my 3 brothers from him are like your situation. I grew up with them. They're my brothers. Like there's no 2 ways about it. But my brother who passed away, he took on a lot of my dad's characteristics and mannerisms, and one of those is struggles with addiction to alcohol, and not to the point where they had to drink every day or anything like that, but like the second they would touch alcohol, it was a drink fest until they were blackout drunk. And it's crazy because my brother who lives in Colorado, he's struggled with it, but not to the point that it's overcome him, but he's a little more of a steady drinker, I would say. Like he's very influenced by his friends, and if they're going to be drinking, he's going to be drinking. But it's weird because he didn't gain that drink till you're blackout drunk. He just like gained a steady and I want to drink every day kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I didn't get any of that. Well, I mean, obviously it wasn't my dad, but what?
okay. Okay, why don't you tell her every drug you've tried, Mister? I've never gotten addicted.
Okay, tell me
how weed's not addictive.
Tell me somebody who hasn't experimented with drugs besides you. Danielle?
Crystal.
Okay, but Crystal lives in church. That's a whole nother thing. They don't allow drugs and alcohol in church. Unless it's that good wine, though.
Religious people are the craziest ones. Okay.
There's no argument there, but also they don't allow drugs in a church, and that's her big thing in life, her focus.
Well,
if
I'm
you
just
will.
saying I'm not the only one.
Okay, but the majority of people.
Dr. C.
Get real. I guarantee you he tried.
Yeah, probably in the 70s. That's porn stash.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. We'll
I'm gonna
find
ask
out.
him.
I'm gonna have him on here. I'll find out. I'll ask him.
That would be awesome.
That
I would
be
love to
so
hear that.
funny.
I'm sure he's got some stories.
I'm sure he does.
Oh yeah. I bet you.
Okay, but we're getting a little off topic here. I'm sorry to go off on that rant, but okay, so addiction runs through your family. How did you, I guess, find, I don't know, like getting over that or getting past that? What did you have a motivational driver, and how was it for your sisters? Is it the same kind of a thing?
I would say for me, it's my kids. I didn't want to give
That's
my
great.
kids that life. I grew up around it, thinking the people I was growing up with, like, they were normal and, you know, worked and went home. But it was just, the older I got, realized, you know, friends that my parents did drugs with and sold drugs with. So
Oh shit. That's good. You're Heisenberging up at your house and thinking that's normal. That's crazy.
yeah,
I went through some similar stuff, but not to that extent. That's crazy.
yeah. It was,
So it was always around.
It's just so sweet and innocent over here.
Well, that's great that you're able to find a conduit for sobriety and keep that up. Now, do you at all socially drink or anything like that, or is it just bone dry sobriety?
I do socially drink. As far as drugs go, though, no, can't do it.
Did you do your experimenting with drugs as well?
I think the hardest thing I've done is weed.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, that's an experiment.
Even
So,
harder than I thought.
but you didn't find any kind of a addiction to that.
No, my body can't handle it.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't know why. I tried a couple times, just doesn't sit well with me.
And now your sisters, did they find a conduit themselves or
My oldest sister, I think, they went through a point in their life where they were drinking all the time. They are now sober, as I believe 3-4 years sober from drinking
Great.
and doing any type of drugs or anything like
great.
that. As far as drugs, I don't know if she's ever done anything. My second oldest, she does still like to party.
Does she
still
have
that
any kids?
She does.
Oh, okay.
She has
Oh, yeah, because that's in
6
Farmington.
kids.
6?
6 kids.
Damn.
How many kids does your older sister have?
She, between her and her husband, 3.
And then your younger sister?
My youngest sister has 3 kids also.
You guys are kid farmers.
I feel so
dang.
bad for your parents because holidays for Christmas, those are all
Just
their
for us to go anywhere, it's a party.
grandkids to
A
give
party plus.
That's an expensive trip if you were to take everybody. That's nuts.
We managed to do it though.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive in itself.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Never
so
a dull moment around us.
facts. Now, here's a off-the-wall question, but do you have any kind of concerns for those struggles being passed to your kids? Do you see it in any of your kids or your nieces and nephews?
I would say absolutely. I think that's my biggest fear, is that being passed along to my kids, and seeing it in my nieces and nephews.
But you've recognized it. You've actually seen
Yeah, for sure.
the onslaught of it.
Yeah.
And how is that handled?
I don't think it's handled honestly.
Do you think it's just the older ones or is it going on to the...
I think it's still just not dealing with anything. I think just being passed along from like my parents to, my sisters down to her kids. I was actually having a conversation with my little sister the other day about it. Just seeing history repeat itself.
Okay.
How do you feel like when they say that genetics plays a big role in that? Because not to feed into the stereotypes, but I know that everybody knows the Native American, and I know you're not Native American. I'm not implying that. I'm just
I am
saying
Native American.
you are Native
I am.
American.
Both my parents are.
I thought you were Hispanic.
I am not.
Just because she went to Mexico.
No, that's not.
My kids are Mexican.
Okay, wait. Which one of your coworkers then was the one that's Hispanic and I thought was Native American? Okay, well, that kind of even solidifies what I was saying more. Like,
Yeah.
that there's a stereotype around that. Do you feel that that's true, or do you feel that it's more genetics than anything?
Both. I've seen it. I've never lived, I guess, like on the reservation. My mom has. But it is, I think, like communities play a part in it. Like you go on the reservation, they have casinos, they give out free alcohol over there.
Jesus. Well, they probably make money too.
Yeah, but cycle.
I went to college with a guy who was from Window Rock. His family was from Window Rock. Good dude, but same thing. He had the worst problem with alcohol, and it's weird because drugs never played into it. Like we could be doing our experimenting, or we could just be smoking weed. I was always more of a pothead than an alcoholic, but this kid, like every day after school, he was like, "Let's get a bottle of E&J. Let's get beer." And like some days, bro, I got things to do. I don't want to be drinking. Like,
Yeah, it's rough.
did you ever find that in yourself or see it in your parents that it was more than, like, the addiction was more than just something they enjoyed doing, where it was like a necessity, like just a drive from inside, craving for alcohol that strongly? Or was it more like how my dad, with his, once he drank, he needed to get blackout drunk?
I don't know if it was that. I don't know. I think seeing my parents, it was a cycle for them. Like I think the drugs played a lot into it. I do think at one point they did definitely need it. My parents lost everything. They lost their house. They lost their kids at one point. Anybody around them, nobody wanted to be around them because they were so crazy.
Well, but that's got to be crazy living in a community surrounded by like-minded people. Like, is everybody doing that? Like, I get that the casinos are there and people love to go have a good time at the casino and drink free booze. I mean, who's not up for that? Like, that sounds great. But also, like, are these people not recognizing that this is a problem? And at what point do you finally just say enough is enough? Like, I'm losing my life because of alcohol. Like, that's...
I don't know. I don't think that they care enough to even acknowledge it.
Well, do you see that? Like, did you see it in the community?
Yeah, I felt like everyone I grew up around, it was one big party.
And more poverty than anything because of that?
They didn't care. They had kids running around, crying and screaming, and it was about the good time.
That's crazy. And I hate to take it back to Santa Fe, but that's the same thing. Everybody that I grew up with, it was all about the party, ambition and goals for the future were a thing of the past or something that was unattainable. And for right now, it doesn't matter because we have each other and we have booze.
Pretty much.
That's crazy. And you can see it still. It's very prevalent. Like the more northern Santa Fe you go, the less you see that. Mm-hmm. And it's more the high class.
Yeah.
But anywhere in the city itself, it's like, and they don't help because there's nothing for the kids to do. There's nothing for, the city shuts down at 8 o'clock. What else is there but go get
a normal
drunk?
thing too.
That's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you have something to say?
Well, I want to go back to, you're comparing it to alcohol, but that's not their choice of addiction. Their choice of addiction was drugs. So it's not, wouldn't say genetics or the stereotype, because it's not the same what you're thinking of. It's going back to that depending on their addiction of choice. So it's not, I can say for this example that it's not a genetic thing that you can pinpoint. It would be more of just the small town mentality that's what you were kind of all you had to do, and then that's where it came into play.
Yeah. I don't know, my parents, I think when I was 5, they started doing, maybe a little bit older, but they started doing drugs. My dad sold drugs for a living, and then I think from there just selling it and being around it, started doing it, and then kind of, I wouldn't say pressured my mom, but in a sense pressured her into doing it and just flew from there.
What was that drug of choice?
Methamphetamine.
Who? Dang.
Wow, I love how you give the proper word for it and not like the streets like
Like meth.
meth. No, it's methamphetamine.
I hate that drug.
So would you say that they liked meth more than that they liked drinking?
I would say so. I think it was a combination, but definitely the drugs were the addiction, for sure.
And you never went that hard on drugs?
No.
After
I think that
seeing
my parents honestly scared it out of me.
Good.
Like, I didn't want nothing to do with it. I didn't like the people they were. I didn't like the people they kept. I didn't want my kids around it. So, no.
And even being out not doing those hard drugs, you still have a crazy life story essentially, even after you grew up, starting at the age of 15.
Yeah.
And then everything that happened where
I think it's the people I chose to keep in my life, my kids' dad being one of them. He also was a drug addict. He also did meth.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
from the time that I want to say like 6 months maybe after I met him, I noticed him being like different. Didn't know like how bad it was, but yeah, he started doing drugs at a very young age.
Can I ask, like, I've never seen the signs or symptoms of somebody doing meth. I've never been around it, I guess. So what would, like, trip you off about that?
I feel like just because it was normal to me, just little ticks, like just licking their mouth or just that's what their dad would do, just constantly lick his mouth. Like if he was focused on something, that's how I knew he was high. My parents, my mom's face would turn red. My dad, he just,
So they all had different like tics essentially.
yeah, I feel like everybody gets their own, kind
So
of.
like LL Cool J licking lips, like that.
Kind of, yeah. It was bad. I remember one specific time, like him working on his truck, and I was just sitting there watching him, and I was like, "Oh, this guy has to be high right now." I don't think he was, but just because he did it for so long, those things just stayed with him.
And when you guys moved to Mexico, was he still addicted?
No, so he was in prison for 2.5 years before that.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Rewind.
Things left and right.
Please dive into that. What happened there?
So I think my daughter was about 6 months old, and him and his brother started selling drugs again.
Okay.
Wasn't the first time. And they ended up getting busted at a motel in Farmington. The front desk lady ended up calling the police on them, and he jumped out of a window and started running from the cops. And from there, he got 2.5 years in prison.
Woo. What set her off, or how did she know?
Honestly, I don't know, but I feel like they're probably not very discreet about it. Taking like people in and out. I know they had lots of guns on them.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Is that how he ended up back in Mexico?
Yes.
And then
Because they deported him after that.
did you feel like that helped him learn a lesson essentially?
I feel like in a sense, he did end up starting to go to church and got saved in prison and was like, Danielle, you need to, I think at that point I was just over it. I didn't really want to continue with the relationship. I didn't want to just keep going through this cycle of heartbreak.
That's fair.
So I kind of think I went on a little drinking binge for a little bit, and he was just like, I'm praying for you, like I want you to do better and this and that. And I think at some point I did end up getting started going to church, and I got saved, and from there we just kind of, I don't know, made in a sense a healthier relationship. My kids had their dad full time after prison, of course, but he was there full on, hands on, had the kids all the time for those 2.5 years that we were down there.
That's great.
And then I hate to say this and group them all together, but I'm going to, and I'm going to mute James so he can't say nothing, but that's a typical man thing to do, which, I mean, if you put two and two together, that's where it would go, why that would happen. And I think that, I mean, I'm very proud of you just being like, I mean, you had your crazy moment. I'll give you that.
Wasn't like too crazy, but I mean, I didn't like drinking around my kids or having that, but I think at that time I was trying to party a lot, just avoiding dealing with anything.
Well, I meant crazy when, like, slashing tires.
Okay.
In all fairness,
Time out.
she deserved that.
You let's hear about that.
Oh no. So the girl he cheated on me with in Mexico. She was my kids' soccer coach. And,
Oh God.
I feel like, yes, it takes two. It is the person you're with's responsibility. The other person shouldn't.
But she knew, so
I
that's
was-
I get it. She knew. It's different if she didn't know.
Oh, totally.
But
yeah. No, she
did
knew.
know.
She knew me. She knew my kids. I feel like it was forewarned even before, like when we first moved there, you need to watch your husband. Like these girls down here just don't care. Literally was told that a good couple times. But I know that's his fault too.
And then you came back, and now he is missing. And I think it's insinuated with most parts that it's missing in Mexico. That's all we have to say about that. And how that's affected you and your kids. I can probably guess that if he were to show up, that he would probably be murdered by you because he has left you alone with four kids that are his.
Definitely. I always go back thinking, like, if I could just talk to him one last time, what would I say to him? I think it's very unfair, his choices he's made in life, because of the result that comes at the expense of my kids and of the people who cared about him the most. I would say especially my boys have to deal with it a lot. Sorry, I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'd definitely rip him a new one.
Yeah, I can probably imagine. And then if you had the ability, I feel like you would murder him, bring him back alive, do it again and again for at least a good like 3 days in a row.
Yeah, I think it just definitely sucks, what he did and how it happened, and he could have avoided all that.
Because he changed, it sounded like, for a minute there after his 2 years. And
As far as I know. I mean, I think he was doing good for a good 2 years, and I think when you struggle with addiction, it's kind of always there, and if you start feeding into it again, it slowly creeps up on you, and I think, unfortunately, that's kind of what happened with him.
And do you think it's just all who you surround yourself with? Like, if he just didn't get mixed up with friends from work or something that were like, hey, let's go and do this. And
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely who you surround yourself. His oldest brother was, I would say, his biggest enemy.
really? Like,
Yeah, he's the one who he would get high with and introduced him to a lot of things, and ultimately ended up getting him caught up in the situation, which made him go missing.
Are you at all in communication with his family still?
I do talk to his family for the most part, just not his oldest brother.
That's fair.
Yeah,
so his oldest brother is still alive and
in
out there?
Mexico.
Oh, in Mexico somewhere?
Somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, okay. They have other siblings that have passed away too, right? Or someone just recently.
His dad just
dad.
recently died, yeah. Yeah, his dad also had cancer, and
Jeez.
I think that poor family has been through a lot just dealing with those two in particular. Like, I couldn't imagine a heartbreak like that. I don't think my heart could handle that.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Well, and sorry that you've gone through all of that, because if anybody deserves it, it's not you.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I know what you're trying to say there.
I mean, I have problems with words sometimes.
Same. The worst.
I mean, I know both, so it works out very well. But no, I would say that pinpoint, I love to just pinpoint, it's always the older siblings who ruin everybody.
What did I do?
I'm just saying, maybe your brothers wouldn't have turned out the way they did if they had the role model that you are now. You weren't the sharpest tool in the shed.
That's fair, but I never did anything to jeopardize them either.
I think they definitely make an impact on you, for sure.
Yeah.
I think I struggled a lot with always blaming his older brother for all his decisions. I'm like, I hate that guy. I don't want him around. But ultimately, we are our own people and make our own choices.
Yeah, but there's also something to be said for peer pressure because,
That
you know,
too.
the younger ones look up to the older ones, and
Yeah.
what they do definitely influences the younger
For
ones'
sure.
decisions. So back to what she's saying, yeah, maybe I didn't make all of the best choices.
Well, maybe that's why I didn't really grow up with my brother. So maybe that's why I was sheltered from a lot of it because I was kind of like a only child.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a
I think my oldest sister definitely protected us from a lot. I think that's why we're so close the way we are, because she took on that parent role with us. So I think in a lot of ways she kind of shaped us from doing all that.
That's good.
Yeah.
How much older is she?
I think she's 39, 40, 8 years older than me.
Also not that much older.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another hard question. Do you and your kids, and I guess your husband's family for that matter, does everybody still hold out hope that one day he's coming back, or is it kind of some people have given up by now?
I would say for his family, they definitely hold out hope. His mom, for sure. I don't know if she'll ever come to terms with letting him go, which as a mom, I could completely understand. I wouldn't want to. I would say the same for like his brother and sister-in-law and nephews. And sisters. I would definitely say they do hold out that hope. As for me and my kids, I feel like I wouldn't be able to be where I am today if I still held on to that hope, if you will, just thinking that he would come back. I know how brutal it can be down there, so I mean, I don't want to let my mind imagine, but it's kind of hard not to do that. I just hope, whatever happened, he's at peace. And with my kids, I think I don't know if they necessarily have that hope. I think maybe my littlest one, he had the least amount of time with his dad, but always like, Mom, I want a dad. Like, and it's definitely heartbreaking. I think he remembers, him in a sense. I think my daughter probably struggles with that the most. But I think for my older two, I think it is what it is.
Well, from my perspective, you have a really healthy outlook on the whole thing. Like, it's probably not the most popular outlook, and it's not the easiest outlook, but it's a very healthy one and you're the demonstration of you living your life is absolute proof of that. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah, it's not easy, but, just roll with the punches. Been through a lot in my life.
I heard that your youngest one wants a dad, so gotta find you a sugar daddy.
We can hold off on all that.
To that note, is that something that you're, maybe not like actively looking for, but open to?
I think definitely open. I love the idea of love. But I think it takes a lot to be in a relationship.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot to be committed to somebody. And I don't know if my kids would be okay with it.
I already know the answer to it, and just knowing you, I would say that you are more on the prone to using the excuse that, well, no one wants, the baggage of 4 kids or whatever.
Yeah.
But
You never know.
some people are into that.
Well,
And
beyond
then
that,
plus they're older. They're not all younger.
right.
I would say I'd be the perfect person to date because my kids are never with me. They're always off somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, and beyond that, I feel like it's more of a personal connection than what the baggage is. That's all semantics that get to be worked out later. So yeah, you should definitely not limit yourself. And again, maybe if you're not actively out there looking, maybe you should.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's
On
just
the
me
prowl.
being scared. Just being a chicken, don't want to do it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
One day.
one day, this is just gonna happen.
Just
Someone's gonna walk into the office and they're gonna be like,
Oh no.
"Oh my god!" And then me and Jenna would be like,
Well, it's better than meeting somebody at a bar. We'll just say that.
That's definitely true. You gotta be wise about where you're picking people.
Is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't covered?
No, I feel like not really.
No, I don't like that hesitation. Is it that you have stories, you just don't want to put them out there?
I feel like I have lots of stories. I grew up with 2 drug addict parents.
Well, we didn't dive into that very much.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of one of those crazy stories?
One in particular, I think me and my sisters always go back on. We were, I don't know, my parents used to fight a lot with each other. I think to the point where they were just so caught up in all their stuff and drama and trying to pretty much kill each other. It's terrible.
"What do you mean specifics? Like what? I mean, if you can dive into why you remember that one particular."
I was thinking of a time that me and my sister were, and maybe has nothing to do with my parents, but we were all driving back to where we lived at. We lived out in the middle of nowhere. Literally, there was one other house next to us. We were driving back, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, though.
The stories are what's important, so it does.
We were driving. It was late, pitch black at night, and where we lived again was in the middle of nowhere. And this semi truck had stopped us and said that there was some guy beat up on the side of the road. He looked like he was, I don't know if he was intoxicated or what was going on with him, but he was like, "Just stay right here." I think my sister was 17 at the time. We were 10, 12. And this guy got up out of nowhere. Those things you see in a movie where they just pop up. This guy popped up all bloody and started trying to open our car door, and it was pretty crazy. I don't know why I thought about that.
In Farmington?
Yeah.
This happened?
Yeah.
Just some.
In La Plata, going out towards La Plata.
But why did the semi, how did,
I don't know if it was a truck driver and seen this guy. Maybe he hit him. I don't know. But the guy looked like he was intoxicated just by his, interaction with us. Trying to open the door, and we're all a bunch of girls in there screaming and yelling.
All solid advice for all the listeners out there. Stay out of Florida, stay out of the ocean, and stay out of Farmington.
Yeah, run.
Do you still think that Farmington's like that now?
I would say so.
Really?
I think maybe just from the people I know, I definitely think it's a party town. It's not a whole lot to do there.
In Farmington? I had never once thought, "Oh yeah, Farmington, let's go party." I don't know. Well, maybe I've only been there once, I think.
That's crazy. I remember going there as a kid because my dad was a horse trainer, and we followed the downs, so whenever the races would be in Farmington, we'd be there. And now I have a brother there, but I don't remember anything of Farmington.
Oh yeah. I wonder if he's all
I'm going to have to get in touch with him and see what's going on in Farmington.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the people I know or, just family. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, if you're willing to talk about it, there was a time I remember, wasn't it last year? I don't know. There was a time when or the year before, where you were already in Farmington and you had called into work saying that you couldn't come in because your nephew was missing. And
Yes.
that was a crazy. It was before I was the office manager. I think that was when Crystal was still there, because I just remember trying to I wanted to know, because, be nosy.
Yeah, I think it was still pretty new. I think it was a family reunion we were going to be having that week. And I had went down there the week before because all our family was in town on that weekend. And my nephew decided to run away. At the time, we didn't know he was running away, but from the point of it, my sister was just like, "Jonathan never came home. He never, he's not answering." And so the story was he was, I think, drinking the night before. and he ended up, I don't know, getting mad or getting into an argument with somebody, ended up taking off. And from that point, they said that he took off walking. And they did get it on camera, like street cameras, I think. And then a Burger King caught the camera of him having an interaction with some guy down in an alley. And seeing him walking, and then that was the last anybody had heard of him. So in our heads, we were thinking, like, oh my God, like
he was abducted or something.
yeah, like he got killed, somebody
Jesus.
took him, like, and I think he was 16 at the time.
So what was the resolve to this?
He ended up running away.
Well, like, when did he come home?
So we found him 2 days later.
Oh, you guys found him?
Yeah, I think it was him hearing his mom's plea, put out a video of her, like, crying, just like, if you hear anything, if you know anything, if you're listening, just please come home. And
Holy crap.
like, it got to the point to where we were gonna have a team of like a rescue team, kind of like, just in the last places he were, like, they had dogs getting ready to come out. Like, it was scary. Like, we didn't, you hear, like, especially my family, hear bad stories like that all the time. So yeah, we were passing out missing persons reports of him, and it was pretty intense.
Did you guys ever get any answers out of him, like why he did that, or?
Not us, I don't think. I think he had a conversation with him and with his parents, and just talking about stuff that was going on. But I mean, he's doing good.
Well,
Yeah,
not
missing anymore.
Yeah, no kidding.
And this happened when? Like 20...
He's 19, 18 now, like 2-3 years ago, I think.
Oh, so it was pretty close to when the kid's dad went missing as well. And so it was just pretty
Jeez.
traumatizing. I can only imagine.
Yeah, definitely not fun experiences.
Were you already working together when your husband went missing?
No, I think I started working there in 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2020. It was the
end of 2020.
Yeah, that Christmas time.
So he went, I think, missing in March of 2019.
What's the last you remember of, like, were there any signs that this could have been a possibility with him going missing, or?
At first, no, but going back and thinking of it, he was showing signs of him getting high again. He would call me at like at 2 a.m, telling me off, telling me I was with somebody, and just going off and crazy and calling me names, and I'm just like, I'm in bed sleeping, leave me alone. But at that point too, I'm like, well, why are you even worried? You have a girlfriend with you, so.
That's horrible.
And then you were here when he started calling and stuff. You moved back to.
Yeah, so he so when we split up, he was doing good, but then I think out of nowhere, him and this girl ended up moving to a different town. And at the time, I didn't know the reasoning, but I think they ended up moving because he started having issues with the people that ran the town. And that's why he ended up having to move. I don't think it was necessarily a choice, but I think he had to leave because he was getting himself in trouble.
Did he ever make any effort to, want to come back or see his kids more or anything like that?
I know he was in the process of getting his papers, so I wasn't part of that, but because we were legally married, I was the one who would be able to. So the girl that he was with had a lawyer for him and trying to get the charges that were pressed against him taken back. That way they can start like the process of getting his paperwork. I think it was always an idea of his to come back and, in a sense, to be a family. For sure, I don't know, but I feel like what he was doing was he was trying to come back to at least be around, hopefully, his kids.
Was she going to come too? How was that going to work? Was he just going to try to sneak her across to her? Or?
No, so she is a U.S. citizen.
Oh, but why is she there?
What?
I don't know.
Oh, because she was
training with him, I think,
at
because he
this-
was training at the gym down there. And yeah,
Is this the soccer coach we're talking about still?
yeah, it's the soccer coach.
Soccer coach in Mexico from the U.S.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did she speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Oh,
She
okay.
does speak English too, though.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Also,
Well, to that note, then what people were telling you about those women down there doesn't apply to her because she's not from there.
No, but they're just scandalous girls.
I mean, we've heard Papa's stories about driving down to Mexico.
Yeah.
That's
Well, moving on, we've discussed him enough. This is not about him. This podcast. This is about you, and how awesome you are. So, what does your ideal future look like moving forward from here?
staying with me at work because I would be lost without her.
I don't know. I think just, being there for my kids first and foremost. Just, making sure that they're on track and doing things right in their life. Graduating high school is what I push for with them.
I wish we would have brought, especially your older one, because he would have sat here and said, like, she's not this nice. I've heard stories.
My kids probably think I'm the meanest person ever.
Well, I've got some stuff to discuss with him, so that's another podcast.
I'm sure he's got lots of stories too.
But I mean, that's to be expected from a good parent. That's fine. But what about Danielle time? What do you see in your, what do you want for your future? Do you have any like ambitions or goals for the future for you specifically?
I don't know, really. Trying to get a house.
That's great. That's a perfect goal.
Yeah, that's my number one goal right now, is getting a house for myself, for my kids to have, when I'm not here no more.
No. We don't talk like that on this program. I'm sorry. We're going to have to cut that. We don't say things like that here.
But yeah, that would be, right now, my only goal is to get a house.
Well, you can do it.
Yeah.
I'm
trying
highly believe in
my
you.
hardest.
And it's going to be in where we live, close by to work, so that way you stay there with me.
We're definitely staying in this area, not going into the crazy.
Good. And you do need to stay with her because the doctors treat you guys good. Like in the scheme of real world jobs, you don't find that kind of care from an employer anywhere.
Yeah, I'd agree. They do treat us very well over there.
Yeah, well, I agree.
And you've demonstrated your incredible prowess for work and what a good employee you are. So
You know how I said, like, with me and Dr. P, if I didn't like somebody and I told them,
You're
you're done. It would, even if I said that to them, they wouldn't let you go. Like, you would have to make that choice to be like, I don't want to be here anymore with you crazy people. I'm done.
No, I think they're definitely, I don't know, they're good people. And doctors are, they're good people. I like the environment there.
well, and I feel like under Sarah's leadership, things have changed for the better.
Yeah.
Well,
And I'm not just saying that because you're my wife. Seriously, I can see it from an outsider's perspective that.
Well, we'll go back to the very, very beginning about how the face thing. I could say when I took on that role, I was terrified of Danielle. Like, I thought she was good. No, I was. Don't you remember? I was crying. Like, I didn't want to go up there. I was so scared because she looked so mean. Like, at times I would see you laugh, but I was never included. It was just kind of like in a distance, and I was like,
That's so funny.
they're gonna hate me. But no, she's like the sweetest little thing ever. So I would have never thought that in the beginning for sure. I was really.
Well, and you guys have a great team there together, like in the front office especially. But I feel like you guys have a lot of good staff there, so things will only get better.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well,
Sink or swim.
just throw them out there in the pool. Go ahead. Anything else you want to ask?
Is there anything else you would like to ask?
No.
No. Fuck this shit.
No. You know what would be a really good podcast is just to have you, me, and Jenna on one.
no.
Just our conversations.
I will facilitate that.
Because it's
Please.
the funniest thing.
Make it
I
happen.
agree.
Like,
The randomness
But-
that comes out.
well, he was sitting next to me when I sent you that video, and how I laughed so hard.
Of
And
the
he didn't.
sloth.
Yeah, he
So
didn't.
mean.
He didn't get it, but it was so funny.
That's all I hear all day long. Well, the afternoon.
It's the afternoon.
The afternoon, 'cause
Here,
Drink my coffee in the morning.
said the sloth, and jailbird.
I'll gladly facilitate that. We've got plenty of memory on that card, so let's make that happen.
Just to hear just the randomness and
Never
our
a dull
interaction.
moment.
And how what happened yesterday, I messaged her on our office messaging thing, and I said, just go along with it. And I said, oh, Danielle, we're going to Whiptail, which is the restaurant by work. And I said, at lunch, right? And she's like, yeah. And
It's a good
Jenna,
place to
because
eat.
because Jenna goes to lunch when I come back.
Yeah.
So I made it sound like it was just going to be me and Danielle going on this lunch date, and
Right away.
right away.
Her face.
Well, fine. I hope your guys' food isn't cooked all the way, and I hope you have a great time. And this one is sitting over there, like trying not to
Don't
make
look
eye
at me,
contact.
because if you look at me, you're gonna know I'm lying.
But it was great. It was,
Real quick before we end this, how did you end up working there? Is that something you were actively looking for, like that field, or did it just
interview.
No,
happenstance apply there?
My sister actually applied there.
What?
My sister was looking for a new job, and she was like, yeah, I went and interviewed at this place. It's really great. It's like Monday through Friday. I was like, oh, cool. She's like, they want more people. You should do it. I was like, okay.
And then they hired you over your
I ended up
sister.
not getting the job. Yeah.
Did you rub that in her face?
No.
You totally should. Like, remember that place you wanted to work? Well, I work there, and it's great.
Yeah, I don't know. It was funny though. Yeah, she did want it. I felt bad. I'm like, I'm sorry.
But I got it.
I was super happy though, because I was tired of being at Walgreens and nights and weekends and holidays and just Monday through Friday.
And you lived close by, right? When you first applied? Or did you?
Yeah.
Oh, so.
Still like 5 minutes away. It's nice.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
And it was just Monday through Friday, and yeah, making it easy, no weekends, and I guess
I mean, you guys don't have it easy. You don't know what easy is.
Well, it's definitely
This
not
is true.
easy there.
it's not easy. It's
People think it's easy, but it's very
No, oh no,
stressful.
no. I agree with you guys 100%.
yeah. I mean, how many times do you come home and I was like, how's your day? And you're like, oh.
Like
The
even-
hardest thing is yours is more physical at times.
At times, yeah. But even my day to day is just mostly boring.
You know, we get deal with people. That's the difference. Is we deal with people.
Public.
Yeah, that sucks. So thank you for taking the time to come here and talk to us and tell us about your stories, and I know that a lot of that was not easy to talk about, so thank you for your vulnerability. People will appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No, and we love that you took the time to come be part of the show where we're all ordinary Joes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
See, it wasn't so bad.
No.
Speaking of, we should have just said in that interview, aren't you going to Farmington now?
I am.